guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Bagel and Coffee for Employees Confusion. For some background, I'm a relatively small Asian girl living in the US. Also, it was winter, so I was bundled up, and maybe that contributed to this situation, but I'm thinking it was more the former than the latter description that led to this. A couple of years ago, I went into a nationwide fast casual place known for their bagels and soup bowls. I stood in line and waited my turn, but when I finally got to the front, I was berated for being late by the lady behind the register. I was so confused and too anxious to say, "I don't work here, lady." The cashier kept asking, "What the F? Why are you late? Where were you?" Her manager was right behind her with a look of horror. Then she finally made eye contact with her boss, as if to ask why he wasn't saying anything to me for being late. Based on his look, she immediately knew she made a mistake and started apologizing profusely. Suffice to say, I got my bagel and coffee comp for her slip-up. A little while later though, it all became clearer to me because another Asian lady rushed in with the company's visor and uniform on, apologizing to the manager for being late. I awkwardly made eye contact with the employee who'd mistaken me for her coworker, packed up my stuff, and left. The worst thing about it though was this other Asian lady was in her late 50s, and I was only 23 at the time. Lol, guess I look like a 50 years old. But some of my other Asian friends were pretty upset on my behalf when I told them about this. The next story is titled My Fiancé Isn't the Band's Bodyguard. So 2 months ago we went to our first concert back since COVID. I saw the band before in 2019, but my fiancé hasn't. This band came third in Britain's Got Talent and I have been a fan since then. Most of their fan base are children or like me grew up as they grew up into adults too. We got to the door and showed our vaccinated cards and our tickets. Nothing not normal so far. Now I am not a fan of crowds and there were most people near the barrier to touch the band. Me and my fiancé were stood up against this wall in front of the bar so we can get our drinks easier. There were only few people in back with us and the merch stand. Now my fiancé is tall and has very broad shoulders and is a rugby player, and if he had right attire he could maybe pass off as a bodyguard. Now the band only had 2 bodyguards because most of them are kids. So, this lady came over and asked my fiancé while I went to toilet, "Are you one of their bodyguards?" Him, "No, I'm not. My fiancé made me come here. We're just standing here cause she has anxiety." Her, "Whoa, okay, sorry, thanks anyway." I came back to see he bought me drink and told me story, and I thought it was funny as he does like one. The next story is titled I Left My Job, Then Almost Got Arrested for Visiting the Store to Buy Groceries. Male Karen, NK. Former boss, B. Me, M. I never really used Reddit, but recently I've been seeing a ton of Reddit videos on YouTube, and remembered I had a little story myself that could be told. Backstory: when I was younger I had a job at a small market in our city's central. Usually you can work from age 15 to 17, but as soon as you turn 18, you will most likely get fired. Once you turn 18 your salary increases a lot. This is important for later. For the past 2 years I worked at the same shop sitting in the desk, but since I was nearing age 18, I knew I couldn't stay. This meant I knew I was about to get fired, and sure enough, a week before I turned 18 I was told I was fired. I told B I knew why, and it was understandable, since the small shop needed to save as much money as possible, since the income and profit was already low, for being a local city market, and not some big shopping center. I got a bonus for being fired and decided to keep this bonus to use on something special. One day weeks later I see that the same shop just got home some extremely expensive and unique food products, imported from around the world, and out of pure curiosity I went there to buy some myself. I arrived to a really busy shop having many customers wanting to buy all these special beers, sausages and so on, but I had set my eyes on this one thing. American candy. I live in the EU and American candy isn't really being sold so much in my country, so I was drooling from the thought of getting to try some of these big products I hear about on the internet. I went to take some of the candy and put it in my basket, and here steps in MK, male Karen. MK was one of the greedy customers we had. When I still worked there, whenever there was a discount or something special, he just took as much as he could, not letting other customers buy some. It got so bad that we needed to put each customer may only purchase X amount of this product signs on some of our specialty products. MK then goes up to me and says, "MK, are you packing these away already?" Haha, no, I was picking these for myself. MK, but you are still working, you can purchase some when you're free from work. Sorry, but I don't work here anymore. MK, yes you do, I saw you some weeks ago in the counter.
I recently got fired since I turned 18.
MK, yeah, that's good with you. Don't lie or I will call your boss and get you in serious trouble for stealing the products that are meant for the customers. You can call him, it's not a joke, I really got fired since I'm turning 18. MK then began screaming about how I was being disrespectful, and how I shouldn't be working in the store anymore, how I was stealing and packing away special products from the customer so they couldn't buy any. I was getting pretty pissed at MK since me and B already knew that he was a sour bitter old man, but he always kept telling me, he was a good loyal paying customer. I always wanted to say screw it and say something whenever he went hoarder mode and bought all the specialty products. I told MK to call my former boss, B, and ask him if I still worked here. Out of nowhere greedy MK starts to take things out of my basket where I had my products, saying these don't belong to you, where I then screamed at him for being so entitled and disrespectful, saying that he was the whole issue, since I already admitted that I didn't work there. I then stopped screaming in the old man's face, to where I then saw 2 police officers walk down the hall towards me and MK. I got so pale because it looked really bad, since I was just done screaming my face off at MK's face. The police officer then holds up his one hand to grab my attention, where I just stare him directly into the eyes, to where MK then decides to slap me in the face, and punch me in the stomach, making me drop the basket I was holding in my hands. It didn't really hurt, it just took me by surprise. The 2 police officers then went from walking and holding eye contact with me, to running at us looking at MK. They handcuffed MK and called B, confirming with the camera, which has sound, that MK was being a douche, and that I told MK that I didn't work at the store anymore. The officers told me they had a call from one of the bypassing customers, which got worried because they heard stealing being yelled in the store, and MK causing a tantrum. I left with my American candy that day, and an apology from B, saying they should have done something about him before this happened. Apparently this wasn't the first time MK left the store in cuffs. For info, the candy was Hershey's Cookies and Cream, Reese's Cups, Nerds and Toxic Waste Candy products. The next story is titled, "Oh, your client parked in my driveway." That's okay, your board meeting is about to rock. I run a recording studio in an industrial complex, and my apartment is above the offices of a contracting company. We get along pretty well, they stay out of my way and I don't make any noise during the day as my soundproofing budget is non-existent. I have a private gated section and driveway that leads out onto the road. The contracting company has off-street parking and access through a right-of-way down a separate driveway, but they have a fire exit that opens into my driveway that they leave open sometimes when it gets hot. I don't usually mind so much, but we have had run-ins in the past with their guys wandering into my section and lounging around on my downstairs furniture, smoking or making phone calls. Today I walked out into my yard and there was a shiny, sign-written Mercedes parked diagonally in my driveway, blocking all 3 car parks. I made a quick phone call to the office downstairs to ask them to move the car, and the girl at the desk said that it was a client's car and they were currently in a meeting. I heard her ring the boss who was in the meeting and tell him about it, and he said it would be moved right away. Fair enough. Well, 30 minutes goes by and the car isn't gone. I'm a nice guy, but I get petty about things like my private property. Besides, it was 3:30 and I needed to buy some stuff before the shops closed. The revenge. I stomped back up to my apartment, making as much noise as possible, and crashed around making getting ready to go noises. When this didn't get a reaction, I jumped behind my drum kit and tore out a massively loud fill, complete with ear-splitting crash cymbals and double kicks. Seconds later I heard an alarm chirp and 3 giggling executives came out and jostled to move the car. They waved in the general direction of my tinted studio windows and headed back inside to finish their meeting. No bad blood, but perhaps a lesson learned. The next story is titled, "I'm sorry you confused my black shirt and cargo shorts for an orange smock." At Home Depot today picking up some flooring. A middle-aged lady approaches me asking if I can help her get something off a top shelf. I am 6 feet 4 inches and get asked this a lot no matter where I go. It's no big deal. I say sure and follow her further down the aisle. She points to a stack of tile on the very top shelf. I tell her that there is no possible way for me to get that and then the store would need to get one of those lifter things for her. She thanks me and I go on my way. Or so I thought. A couple of minutes later I am back in the aisle I was previously unloading with laminate into my cart and I hear a loud "excuse me" from behind me. Guess who found me again? Her. Are you going to help me or not? Me. Ma'am, I have my own stuff to load. Find an employee to help you. They are walking around or you can go to the front desk. Her. Why should I find someone else when you are already helping me? It's at this point I realize she thinks I'm an employee. Me. Ma'am, do you think I'm an employee? I don't work here. Her. If you don't work here then why were you helping me? Me. Because you asked and I don't mind helping. Look at me. I'm wearing a black shirt and cargo shorts. All the employees are wearing an orange smock and pants. Her. As she is walking away, you shouldn't offer to help me if you don't work here. Me calling out to her, I didn't offer. You asked. Cue her flipping me off as she walks away. The next story is titled Apparently the old lady I always help in the grocery store thought I worked there. I do my shopping the exact same time every week in a large grocery store. There's a little old woman who usually does her shopping at around the same time. She has some mobility issues and doesn't buy much, so after a few times of seeing her having to flag down help every time she wanted something from a shelf above shoulder level, I approached her and asked if she'd like a shopping companion. It took me under 10 minutes to get everything on her list and she was very gracious and grateful, even offered me a few dollars, which I didn't accept of course. I didn't give this a second thought. I wasn't raised to question whether you take 10 minutes to help an old woman in the grocery store or not, it's just what you do. So next week when I saw her again, I asked if she'd like someone to shop with her and she was again very grateful for the help. It became our usual routine that whenever I spotted her, usually every other week or two, I'd give her a hand. One week I didn't do my shopping at the usual time, I worked a little late and when I came in there was a big fuss at the customer service desk, involving my shopping friend and a young man. I started to go over to be sure everything was alright, and hear the young man saying, "What do you mean no one with that name works here?" He had a name tag on. My mom saw the name, right ma? And she says he did. And the flummoxed customer service kid is saying he really doesn't have anyone by that name who works there. The young man is going, "What do you mean? Did you fire him? He was here last week, right ma?" And I realize it's my name, and the potential source of confusion. I go in for shopping immediately after work, and my work uniform is a maroon shirt and khaki pants, with a name tag. The grocery store I shop at has white shirts, any kind of pants you want, and a maroon apron with the store's logo. So a little similar. I go over and she gleefully cries, "There you are. I want you to meet my son." And he started telling me how grateful he is I was taking time out of my work to personally help his mom shop, and now that he's in town he wanted to say thanks in person and give me some money or at least put in a good word with your manager at the store, so could you point them out so I can speak with them? Not that one though, that one thought you'd been crap canned. I explained the confusion and they were both so touched. It was one of the most poignant moments of my life, and definitely the most meaningful I've ever had in a supermarket. The next story is titled Lady Wants Wheelchair-Bound Woman to Get Something from Top Shelf. Background: I'm an amputee after a summer 2017 car accident, left leg. This story takes place like 2 or 3 weeks after I got my cast off, so forgive me if I can't remember the details well. Setting: Safeway, grocery store chain. Me, wearing a teal top with gray shorts, in a wheelchair, of vital importance, one leg. I was at the store to get some stuff for dinner and looking down the baking aisle. I was in a bit of a rush. I had grabbed a couple things and was trying to turn around to leave that aisle. As you probably expected, an older lady came up to me and asked for help. I'm terrible with saying no, so I reluctantly say okay. Again, I'm in gray shorts and a teal top, clearly not an employee, who wear black pants and either a black or tan shirt, and clearly in a wheelchair. Karen equals the lady. Me equals goes without saying. This is paraphrased, don't remember exact words from near 2 years ago, sorry. Karen, I need this thing, I don't remember what, from up there, points to the top shelf, miles above my sitting height. I would have done it if I was whole, but I have terrible balance now and don't like to stand without my crutches. Me, okay? What do you want for me? Karen, well, I want you to get it for me. Me, being me, how? Karen, just stand up and get it. Me, you can see that I'm in a wheelchair, right? Karen, so? You need to help customers. Me, still not clicking. Me? Karen, yes, you. An employee should always put customers first. Me, the amazing dumb SS, who finally gets what Karen's saying. Oh. I'm a customer, not an employee. Sorry. Karen looks as if she's finally seen light and takes in my entire appearance. She somehow went pale and red at the same time. I'm still amazed by that feat, and rushed off. The next story is titled Karen tries to order pizza from me while I am eating pizza myself, then refuses to believe I don't work there. For context, I work at a chain bakery that has a bright blue polo shirt and khaki-colored pants as the uniform, with the bakery's logo embroidered on one of the sleeves. Coming home from work on the bus, there's a small plaza at the stop before mine that has some pretty bomb pizza, and every once in a while I'll stop by the plaza to grab some and walk the rest of the way home. The uniform there is a fire truck red t-shirt with the logo completely covering the back, and black pants. If someone can tell me how Karen got this mixed up, I would love to know. The cast is myself, me, Pizza Girl, PG, Manager, M, and Karen, K. Anyway, here's the story. On this great day, I was running on 3 to 4 hours of sleep, a cheese croissant and coffee, had just gotten off an 8 o'clock to 1500 hours shift and hadn't had time to grab lunch while on break, so suffice to say I was hungry. Hungry enough that I didn't even care that I was still in my work uniform, I just wanted some food pronto. So, I stopped by the pizza parlor, grabbed a slice, some Mountain Dew, and a cookie for the road, and sat down a happy customer. I had my headphones in and was scrolling through my phone while I ate when the staff disappeared behind the counter. No biggie. About a minute later, Karen walks in. It was just me in the place at the time, and the staff was still in the kitchen. The most attention I gave her was a quick glance before looking back to my phone and taking another sip of my pop. I assumed she would just go up to the counter and order, like a normal person, but I assumed wrong. Before I knew it, she was standing right beside my table and giving me that good old disapproving stare only Karens are capable of. This was our interaction as follows. Me, taking an earbud out and lowering my volume, "Can I help you?" K, "Hi, can I get a," starts listing her order. Me, catching on pretty quickly, "Oh, sorry, but I don't work here." K, pauses as if this information was too large of a worldview shift for her to process, and in the end, her brain just could not compute. K, first, don't interrupt me, that's very rude. Second, that's a uniform. This is an establishment. I know you work here, so don't give me that attitude. The logic of this Karen made my own brain short circuit, and I guess it showed on my face cause the next thing I knew, her jaw dropped in shock and she was railing me on my horrendous work ethic and berating me over wearing headphones on the job and eating all the product that's meant for the customers. She even went as far as to say that I'd made a huge mistake as she was a regular and had more than enough leeway to get me fired. Side note, if she was a regular she would have known what the uniform looked like. SMH. It was around this point that I remembered the logo on my sleeve and just wordlessly turned my arm and pointed at it. Karen stops yelling long enough to give it a proper look and I could see the color just drain from her face. I'm a petty little crap though, so to rub salt into the wound I tacked on a not so friendly "See that." Company name. What was this place called again? Then, about 2 seconds later, an actual staff member shows up behind Karen and asks if there's a problem. I thought that was the end of it. K, yes, there's a problem. Your coworker was extremely rude to me. Yeah, that's right. Karen was still insisting that I work there. Pizza Girl looks at me and recognizes me as the girl she'd just served. PG, ma'am, she doesn't work here. K, don't lie to me. I want to see a manager. PG goes to get her manager, all the while Karen is giving me the snobbiest death glare I've ever gotten in my life. I just sighed and took another sip of my pop. Then, PG and her manager come back out. M, hi, what's the problem here? K, that girl refused to take my order and was extremely rude to me. You need to discipline her. M, same as PG, looks at me and knows I don't work for her. She doesn't work here, ma'am, but I can take your order if you like. Finally, Karen leaves me alone and follows the manager to place her order. I could hear her complaining about me though, so I started packing up my things to eat my pizza at home and in peace. PG stopped me though, handing me a takeout bag with another slice, garlic dip, and a cookie. She said it was both an apology for having to deal with Karen, and a thank you for being one of their nicer regulars. Still puts a smile on my face, and this was yesterday. On my way out though, I heard Karen demanding a free pizza. I hope those guys turned out okay. Anyway, thank you for reading. If you enjoyed the video, Please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.